All right, last but not least, in the Neurotech track, we have Konrad. And Konrad will actually be, I guess, mashing up, riffing on a few of, a little bit on the work that Andrew is doing as well. So Konrad as well, thank you so much for joining us. I think it's your second Vision Weekend now in a row. And you have been doing absolutely fantastic work in that front. And so we're delighted to see what you've been up to. So please, without further ado, please take it away.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for having me here. I also wanted to first start with saying that there is nothing to convince me like Neurotech is awesome than speaking in this session. So many amazing projects, and a lot of them that are related to what I'll be talking about. So let's first talk about out-of-domain generalization. This is something, I wear multiple hats. One of them is I'm active in the deep learning space. We're always worried about out-of-domain generalization, which is there exists training data that we have. And it's pretty easy to understand how we're going to do good learning on that. No? Like we take the training data, we put it into our classifiers, and we'll be fine. And then the world comes in, and we have things that are out of distribution. We have these two distributions here, and then we have another distribution that is next to it. And in a way, all bets are off. When we do machine learning, we're very, very bad at extrapolation. As soon as the world changes, we don't know what to do technically. And here's why this is a problem. Now, imagine I fit data to brain. I want to simulate a brain, because that would be the coolest thing ever. So I want to fit data to a brain, but it's not enough if I fit it right on the kind of manifold of things that I've seen before. I want to fit it right for new things. If I could simulate your brain, it would be awesome. If I could only simulate your brain for the things that have already happened to you, much less awesome. So we want out-of-domain generalization. And now how can we get that? The difficulty for out-of-domain generalization is that we generally need causality. I need to know how one brain cell influences another brain cell if I want to predict what would happen if I give a new input. Now, if I always see the behavior of the brain for the same things, I will be unable to say things what happens if I'm outside of that distribution. But if I know how every neuron influences every other neuron, I can deal with any new situation. And we know from the field of causality research, Julia Pearl is the person who revolutionized that. We know exactly what it takes to find out how one neuron influences another neuron. The key criterion is here, the backdoor criterion. Now, this is a horrible statistical entity, but it says, given an ordered pair of variables x, y, in a directed acyclical graph G, a set of variables z satisfies the backdoor criterion, and so on and so forth. The key is, what does that mean for neurons? If I want to know how much one neuron influences another neuron, I need to record all the neurons that influence the first neuron. This is something that we usually can't do. And therefore, we cannot know, and we currently almost nowhere in neuroscience know how much one neuron influences another neuron. With one exception, if I can go in and stimulate it, then I know how it influences the others. And now, I was going to show this video. I put it in here because E11 Bio is so incredibly cool. So what they do is they image the whole piece of the brain, and they can visualize the molecules that are in. I know they make the brain really big, and they can use whatever dice they want for that. So they can show me all the neurons, and they can show me where the molecules are. Now, why is this so important? If you can show me where the molecules are, I can see the thing that makes one neuron influence another. I don't need to infer it, I can see it. But that's a huge problem. If I want to see, based on the molecular imaging data, how one neuron influences another one, I need calibration data. I need to know, well, give me an example, 1,000 examples of where we see how strongly one neuron influences another and what the molecules are that go with it. But we don't have that data set. So if we want to produce a simulator knowing how each neuron influences every other neuron, we need to convert the molecules that E11 Bio is on a great path to get us, but we need to translate that into what they mean. And that is what we are very much interested in. And I really don't want to show this. Why is this happening? Here. So what we want to do is we want to take the molecules that we can see there and convert them into models that we can actually image. And here you see a neuron at the top, and we want to simulate it as a cable model, and concretely, there's compartmental models that have all those parameters. The problem is we can usually not fit it to ethers data. If I tell you the correlation, I'm like, whenever this neuron is active, this other neuron is also often active. Does that tell me what the synapse does? No. Why not? Because there's lots of other neurons that will make both neurons be active at the same time. So we need a Rosetta Stone. We need to measure causality with electrophysiology, with perturbations, to see if I activate that neuron, what does it do to the other neuron? And at the same time, we need the annotated connectome, the kind of things that E11 Bio is measuring. And where can we do that? We can do that in C. elegans. Why can we do it in C. elegans? We can record from all neurons at the same time, and we can stimulate any subset of them. And we have done very careful power calculations so that that's actually possible. And with that, we believe that we will be building the first faithful simulation of a system, much more humble than the systems that you saw before, but this will be, it's very clear what the tech risk and what the conceptual risks are for this. And with that, I also want to say thank you, Foresight, because with their AI safety grant, we are already in the process of bringing the right team together to do that. And because I'm giving the last talk, I want to just say one more time, this was absolutely incredible, and it's so cool to learn about all these happening tech developments.
You guys are the one making it incredible. Thank you, Konrad. All right, we'll stay right there. Who knows if you have a question? Questions, comment, of course you do. Sorry about the noise, we're trying to get it down. Okay, he hasn't asked one yet.
Could you elaborate, please, on what is wrong with the cable models? You seem to say we can make them, but they're not what we want.
So if you have a cable model, you have a lot of parameters. The kind of things that the parameters characterize is how does one neuron at a synapse influence another neuron, and what is the nonlinearity that sits at one piece of the cable model. The problem is, in electrophysiology, we have no mechanisms to establish, unless we're stimulating, how a neuron actually influences another one, and we totally don't have a mechanism to find out what the local nonlinearity on the dendritic tree is. And so what I'm saying is we need a way of filling in the parameters. I'm not against cable equations at all, that's what I want to use. But I'm saying we need to get the parameters for the cable equations from a place different from electrophysiology. And now hold on, like there is a big field. Now, like for people that aren't in the field, there's a big field of people building these cable equation models. What they generally do is they assume that all synapses are the same. They assume that all channel densities are the same, but they're not. And therefore, we can't fill all those parameters that we'd need. Great question.
Thank you so much, Konrad. You'll also be around for many other questions. I'm sure you'll get plenty of them. Thank you so much. Wonderful.